Have you ever wondered why your body does super weird things for absolutely no reason? It turns out your brain is running on some really old software, and today we're going to explore the glitches in our evolutionary code. Let's get right into it. Why do you jolt awake just as you're about to fall asleep? Or get goosebumps when you're not even cold? It really feels like our bodies are just full of these random, unexplainable bugs. But what if I told you it's not a bug at all? It's actually ancient software. See, our bodies are running on code that was written for a world that frankly just doesn't exist anymore. And sometimes, we experience the glitches. So let's start by looking at some of the spare parts left over in our physical hardware. All right, first up, the physical leftovers. We're talking about evolution's spare parts that are, still hanging around inside our bodies. Okay, so first on the list is the coccyx, but you probably know it as your tailbone. Right at the very bottom of your spine, there's this tiny little bone that's basically a reminder of our super ancient past. It's almost like having a fossil hidden right inside you. So get this, our ancestors had full tails, and they were super important for balance, even for communication. But as we started walking upright, the tail just wasn't needed anymore, so it disappeared. But this small bony piece, it stuck around. And now it just serves as a little anchor point for a few muscles. Okay, next up, wisdom teeth. Ah, yes, those extra chompers that show up usually in our late teens. But for most of us, they're kind of like unwanted house guests who arrive late to the party only to find out, whoops, there's absolutely no room left for them. But see, our ancestors really needed them. They had much larger, stronger jaws because they were chewing all this tough stuff like raw meat and plants. Our modern diet, though, it's all soft, processed foods, which means our jaws have actually gotten smaller over time. And that makes wisdom teeth these evolutionary leftovers that usually just mean a painful trip to the dentist. Fun, right? And then there's the appendix. You can kind of think of the appendix like the kid who gets picked last in gym class. It's just there. And nobody's really sure what to do with it. The thinking is it probably helped our ancestors digest really tough plant material. We're talking stuff like tree bark. For the longest time, we thought it was totally useless. Now, there are some newer theories that it might be a safe house for good gut bacteria, which is pretty cool. But still, for most of us, it's just a silent passenger. And get this, we might be watching it slowly disappear, since more and more people are being born without one now. All right, here's a fun one. Have you ever heard of the palmaris longus? It's this muscle in your forearm, and our primate ancestors used it for grip strength, back when they were swinging through the jungle canopy. Want to see if you have it? You can actually check for this piece of ancient software right now. Come on, do it with me. Just touch your pinky to your thumb and then flex your wrist a little bit. See that tendon that pops up in the middle? Yep, that's it. And if you don't see it, don't worry. Because, let's be real, we spend way more time swiping on our phones than swinging from branches these days. About 14% of the population doesn't even have this muscle anywhere, and for those people, it makes absolutely zero difference in their grip strength. Okay, so those are the physical leftovers. Pretty wild, right? But what about the glitches in our mental software? Let's dive into the instincts and reflexes that are programmed into our brains for a world that, is long, long gone. Oh, man, you know that feeling, right? You're just drifting off to sleep, everything is calm, and then bam, your whole body jolts awake like you've just been zapped. That, my friends, is called a hypnic jerk, or a sleep jerk. So what's happening? It's basically your ancient brain misfiring. The main theory is that our primate ancestors used to sleep up in trees. So as your muscles relax when you're falling asleep, your brain sometimes gets confused and thinks you're falling, like for real. So it hits the panic button to save you from a tree that doesn't even exist anymore. Crazy? And hey, what about goosebumps? Those tiny little bumps you get? They're actually caused by miniature muscles at the base of every single hair follicle. It's a reflex leftover from our much, much furrier past. See, for our furry ancestors, this was super useful. It would fluff up their fur, which helped trap heat to stay warm, or it would make them look bigger and more intimidating to a predator. But for us, without that thick coat of fur, the software still runs. But the hardware, it's just not there. All right, let's talk about the sweet tooth. If you've ever found it practically impossible to say no to a donut, you can go ahead and blame your inner caveman. That powerful craving we have for sugar is actually a survival instinct, one that's kind of become a liability in our modern world. Think about it. For our ancestors, finding high-energy sugar from something like a ripe fruit was like winning the lottery. It was a rare survival jackpot, so their brains evolved to give them this big hit of pleasure as a reward for finding it. The problem? Today, sugar is everywhere, but our brains, they're still running that same ancient reward program, which is what makes it so darn hard to resist. And finally, let's talk about the fear of the dark. Even when you're tucked into a safe, modern bedroom, it's totally normal to feel a little uneasy when the lights go out. And it's not irrational. It's just your brain running a very, very old antivirus program. For hundreds of thousands of years, what did darkness mean? It meant danger. It meant predators. So the ancestors who were jumpy and cautious in the dark, those were the ones who survived and got to pass on their genes. That little feeling of unease you get, that's just their legacy. It's an old program trying to keep you safe from threats that, thankfully, are no longer there. So the next time you jolt awake or get goosebumps, just remember, you're not experiencing a bug. You're actually feeling a story, a feature that was written for a world full of jungles and predators. Your body's like this living museum of our past, and it's a powerful reminder that evolution isn't over. It's still happening, right now, inside every one of us. Which, of course, leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. What part of you, what behavior, what instinct that feels so normal to us now will one day be a strange, outdated glitch for the humans of the future?